All right, welcome back, everybody. We are looking at Module 2, Topic C, Lesson 11 here. And we're going to multiply decimal fractions by multi-digit whole numbers through conversion of whole number problems and reasoning about the placement of the decimal point. So, similar to what we did last week, and we're just working a little bit further out. Instead of just working with tenths, now we have hundredths as our factor in here. So you see we have 2 and 42 hundredths times 12. Number one asks us to estimate the product and then solve using standard algorithm. Use your thought bubble to show your thinking. All right, and it says draw an area model on a separate sheet if it helps. We're not going to draw the area model, we're just going to stick to the standard algorithm in our estimation here. So let's take a look. So we have 2 and 42 hundredths is around 2. We're going to round that down to 2. And then we say, well, 12 is around 10. And we say, well, our answer should be around 20. We could have kept 12 as 12 because we know that's a basic fact. 2 times 12 would have been 24. But let's take a look here. So 2 times 10 is a much more simple problem. Now we're going to say, think 2 and 42 hundredths times 100. And then we're going to say is equal to, this should be equal to sign, is equal to 242. So now we know 242 times 12, and then whatever we get for our final product, since we multiply by 100 in our factor, we're going to divide by 100. And remember, we're multiplying by 100 because we want to get rid of that decimal. We want to make it appear like the decimal disappeared. Okay, so when we had 2, if we had 2 and 42 hundredths, when we multiply by 100, it's going to become 242. All right, another way we can look at this as 242 hundredths, right? So we said 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 4 tens is 8 tens, and 2 times 200 is 400. And we say, well, 110 times 2 is 2 tens, 110 times 4 tens is 4 hundredths, 110 times 200 is 2,000. We add our two partial products, we get 4 ones, 10 tens, which is equivalent to 100, and 400 plus 400 plus 100 is 900, and 2,000. Now remember, since we multiplied by 10 here, we're going to have to divide by 10 here. If we had our division problem, and we had 2,904 divided by 100, it's going to be, oops, it's got no 0, divided by 100, it's going to be divided by 10, divided by 10. So this 4 that was in the ones place is now going to be in the hundredths place. The 0 that was in the tens place is now going to be in the tenths. The 9 that was in the hundredths is going to be in the ones. And the 2 that was in the thousands place is now in the tens. So the answer is around 20, as we can see here. 29, the placement of the decimal would only make sense to put our placement of our decimal between our 9 and our 0. It's going to be our final answer. All right. And I didn't realize that this one was done for us. That's why you want to make sure you read all the directions. So we know that the answer is 29 and 4 hundredths. It says, think 2,904 is 100 times too large. And what's the real product? And we just have to divide by, I don't know why they keep giving us this division sign, that should be an equal sign. We had to divide by 100. All right, let's take a look at number 2 here. So number 2, we have 4 and 13 hundredths times 37. But we know that that's around 4 times 30. And 4 times 3 is 12, times 10 is 120. So we know our answer is going to be around 120. Let's go ahead and solve for this answer. So I know that, I want to say think about 4 and 1300s times 100. Well, 4, that's a decimal. 4 and 1300s times 100 is equal to 413. We're going to still multiply it by 37. So we have 413 times 37. Well, first I'm going to take and distribute my 7 to each one of my digits in my first factor, and then I'm going to take my 3 tens and distribute to each one of my digits in my first factor. So 7 times 3 is 21. I can't put 21 in the ones place, so I'll take my 21s and regroup them as 2 tens. 7 times 1 10 is 7 tens plus 2 tens, 9 tens. Then 7 times 4 is 7 times 4 hundreds is 28 hundreds. 28 hundreds, which is 2,800. All right, now I have 3 tens times 3. That's going to be 9 tens. 3 tens times 1 10 is 300. And I have 3 tens times 4 hundreds, which is 12,000. My 10,000, excuse me. All right, add that up. We have 1 plus 18 tens, which is 180. Then we have 800s plus 100 is 900 plus 200 is 1,200, which is 1,200. And I have 2,000 plus 2,000 plus 1,000, and I have 5,000. And finally, I have 1 10,000. So my answer is going to be, remember, to get rid of my decimal, or to make it appear like I got rid of my decimal, I multiplied 4 and 1300s by 100 to get rid of it. So now I'll have to divide my final product by 100 to bring my decimal back. All right, we'll bring it back, and it's just going to be divisible. 1, 2. So remember, lesson 1, module 1, we learned that this number here, if I had, this is why I didn't have to do anything. I just know that if my decimal's here at the end, it's going to appear to move to the left 2 times when I divide, because the number, this number, 15,281, before I moved the decimal, or made the decimal appear to move, the number is actually what's moving, right? So we have our 15,281. That means my 1 is in my ones place, so my decimal will be right there. So when I divide this number here by 100, it's going to be divided by 10, divided by 10. So the number is moving 2 places to the right on the place value chart. So my 1 that was in my ones place is going to be in my hundreds place. My 8 that was in my tens place is going to be in my tenths place. My 2 that was in my hundreds place is going to be in my ones place. My 5 that was in my thousands place is going to be in my tens place. And my 1 that was in my 10,000s is going to be in my hundreds place. So this is how I know it's also around 120. This is how I know my answer is correct. And also, now I divided by 100. The final product was divided by 100 here, so I say think 15,281 divided by 100 equals, I'm just going to put an arrow up there. All right, so remember, when I'm doing this in I'm using the conceptual understanding of the concept of dividing by a base 10, all I'm doing is making it appear like my decimal moving. Remember, decimals don't move, the actual numbers move on a place value chart. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next problem here. So now it says solve using standard algorithm, and we're going to shorten these up by just putting our multiplication signs, or our multiply by, in this case we're going to multiply by 100 for each of these three, and then divide by 100. So we're just going to write that out. So we have 2 and 3 hundredths times 13. So in my mind, I know that this is going to be around 20 because 2 times 10 would be 20. So once again, I'm going to say multiply by 100. And this to multiply by 100, now I have 203. And it's still 203, but now instead of saying 2 and 3 hundredths, this is 203 hundredths. So instead of saying I have $2 and 3 pennies, now I have 203 pennies. So we're not changing the value, we're just dividing it, multiplying it and then dividing it by the same number. For a little easier concept for us when we're trying to get our final product. So 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 2 is 6, and I have 110 times 3 is 3 tens, 1 times 0 tens is 0 hundredths, 1 times 2 hundredths is 2 thousandths. So when I add these up, I get 9 ones, 3 tens, 6 hundredths, and 2 thousandths. Alright, now remember, I multiply by 100, so what am I going to do here at the bottom? Inverse operation, I'm going to divide by 100. So when I divide by 100, I know I'm going to move for my number, this 2,639 is going to move 2 places to the right on my place value chart, which is going to appear to make my decimal move 2 places to the left. So my final answer will be 26 and 39 hundredths. Alright, let's take a look at B here. I'm going to shrink this down in a second. And at B, I have 53 and 16 hundredths times 39. Well, I know that's going to be 50 times 30. I have 2 zeros in 50 times 30, so that's going to be 15 hundredths, or 1,500, around 1,500. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look. Now, I'm going to say 53 times 100, 53 and 16 hundredths times 100 is going to be 5,316, and then I'm going to multiply that by my 34 here. So now I multiply that by 34, and I get 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 1 10 is 4 tens, plus 2 tens is 6 tens. And I have 4 times 3 hundredths is 12 hundredths. Put my 200 down, regroup my 10 hundredths as 1,000. And I have 4 times 5,000 is 20,000, plus my 1,000 is 21,000. Regroup my 20,000 as 2 10,000. Alright. Now I have 3 tens times 6 is going to be 18 tens. Regroup 10 of my tens as 100. 3 tens times 1 10 is 3 hundredths, plus 100 is 400. Let's make sure we line that 4 up properly, right underneath my hundreds place. Then I have 3 tens times 3 hundredths is going to be 9,000. Then I have 3 tens times 5 thousandths is going to be 15 10,000s, which is 5 10,000s and 100,000. All right. All right, we're just going to do some quick addition here to get our final product before we divide. All right, so we have 4 1s, 14 10s, 5 6 7 hundreds, 10 thousands, 7 8 10,000s, and 100,000. So we have our answer. We could call this 180,744 hundredths, or we could rename it and put it as 1. So same digits. So we can call this 180,744 hundredths, or 1,807 hundredths. All right, you see how my 4 is in the hundreds place here. All right, and all I did was I divided by 100 here. I divided this number here by 100 and moved my decimal place over 2 times to get it right in here. Let's see. So that's what my decimal would be. All right. So I divided this number here by 100. All right. Let's look at C. 2C. So now I have 371 and 23 hundredths times 52. When I multiply by 100, I get 37,123. All right, and that's times 53 here. Remember, I'm going to show you the same way here, where I bring that back at the end. All right, so we're going to say 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 tens is 6 tens. 3 times 100 is 300. 3 times 7,000 is 21,000. 3 times 3 10,000s is 9 10,000s, plus 2 10,000s is 11 10,000s, or 110,000. All right, so my 10 10,000s regrouped as 100,000. All right. Now I have 5 tens times 3 equals 150 tens. 5 tens times 2 tens equals 10 hundredths plus 100 is 11 hundredths. And then I have 5 tens times 100 is 5,000 plus 1,000 is 6,000. And I have 5 tens times 7,000 is 35,000. Excuse me, 35 10,000s. Put my 5 down, we put my 3. Then I have 5 tens times 3 10,000s is going to be 1,500,000 plus my 300,000 is 1,800,000. All right, let's take a look here. Do our addition. 9 ones, 11 tens, 5 hundredths, 7,000, 6 10,000, 9 100,000, and 1 million. So now when I take this number, 1,967,519, and divide it by, I'm going to divide it by 100. When I divide it by 100, my decimal point is going to move one 2 places over, or appear to move 2 places over, and my new number is going to be the same digits, but now my decimal is going to be between my 5 and my 1, leaving my 9, my last digit here, in my hundredths place. So that would be 19,675 and 1900ths. Alright, let's go ahead and shrink this down a little bit so that I can have a little more room for D. Alright, and remember, we divided this number here by 100. So this is before the decimal. Alright, so it was 1,967,519 hundredths. Right, so we just named it as all hundredths, but if we divide by 100, then we can name it as in standard form. Alright, looking at D here, so I have 1 and 57 hundredths, so that's going to be around 2 and times 432. So it's going to be 2 times 400, it's going to be around 800, so I know my final product should be around 800. So let's see here. So if I multiply this by 100, I get 157 times 432. So let's go ahead and multiply this out. So I know I get 14, 10, 11, and 2, so 1 is 3. Alright, then I get 21 tens, 15, 1500 plus 2, 17. Then I get, 17, and I get 3,000 times 1, plus 1, so 3 tens times 100 is 3,000, plus my 1,000 is 4,000. You don't want to rush when you're doing this, especially if you're using the place value. Now I have 4 hundredths times 7 is 28 hundredths. I can't put my 28 in the hundredths place, so I'm going to regroup 20 in my hundredths as 2,000. Now I have 4 hundredths times 5 tens is 20 thousands plus my 2,000. And I regroup 20 of my thousand as 2 10,000s. Then I say, well, 4 hundredths times 100 is 4 10,000s plus my 2 10,000s, 6 10,000s. All right, understanding that place value is key. All right, now I have 4 ones, 2 tens, it's 10, 18 hundredths, and all I did was 3 plus 7 is 10, plus 8 is 18, and I have 4 plus 2 is 6, 7, 8, 9,000, and this 2 was crossed out. It wasn't, yeah, it wasn't. This 2 was crossed out. So it wouldn't have been 9. It would have been 4 plus 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. That's why it's super important to cross those numbers out. Once you use those numbers from where we regroup, make sure you cross them out so you don't do what I just did. I had a 2 right there and I added it. It looked strange. So I knew it was 4, 5, 6, 7. I used that, I'm going to cross it out. Then I have 6 here. So now, once again, remember what we did. We multiply by 100. So I'm going to use the inverse operation and divide by 100. So now my number is going to move on the place value chart to the right 2 places. Can't get my jumps right. 1, 2. And my decimal is going to be between my 8 and my 2. So I'm going to have a number that looks like this in standard form. So my final answer is going to be 678 and 24 hundredths. Alright. Alright, boys and girls, we're going to stop right there. Let's see if you can finish up the rest on your own. Any questions, please either drop them in the chat, comments below, or just let me know in our Google Classroom or face-to-face. Hopefully this helps you. Happy learning.